Well, hello there, motherfuckers. And the craziness continues. It doesn't stop for even 2 seconds in Hollywood. They don't want to stop. It's all about pissing people off, pushing the envelope, and just doing things to popular franchises that a lot of people are not too keen on, to say the least. Enter the new 007, Lashana Lynch. And here you go, folks. When I think of 007, who doesn't think of a woman? Okay, so after my Instagram post that I put up earlier today, I finally looked at the article, gathered more information. When I kind of calmed down a little bit, this really angered me, where I was like, oh my god, what are they doing again? And James Bond is something a little bit more near and dear to me than, say, The Little Mermaid. This is kind of more akin to Ghostbusters or something like that. So I looked into this, and BuzzFeed has a decent article explaining what's going on. So she's not James Bond. Daniel Craig is still going to be in the latest 25th James Bond film. So, James Bond, Daniel Craig is not going anywhere. And, the last movie, Spectre, was pretty good. I thought that it was a quality Bond film. Was it one of my favorites? No, it wasn't. Is Daniel Craig one of my favorite Bonds? No, he's not. But, I mean, the guy's done a decent job. People will argue and say that he's the best, but whatever. So anyway, what they're doing here is Bond is supposed to be retired as 007, and in is supposed to walk in Lashana Lynch, and she's supposed to be the new 007, so she's taking the code name. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out that this is probably going to be Daniel Craig's last movie. It's been rumored for quite some time now. If Lynch will walk in there, she's going to take over the name, and that's going to be your new 007. So she's not Bond, but she is she's going to be 007. See, I'm sorry, but that is more than enough to really just make this movie be a complete disaster right from the offset. And of course, everyone's going to do the same song and dance, and people are, of course, defending this already, saying, well, she's not James Bond. It's not like they're saying that she's James Bond. And at first, when I looked at the article, many people had the headline that she was 007, so naturally you associate James Bond with 007. So they're going to take this iconic name and they're going to give it to Lashana Lynch, who, I don't even know who this actress is. And I doubt that many people know who she is either. People are going to say, okay, she's been in this and that. They're going to do whatever they can to try to make this was a good decision, that it was a justified decision. So let's take a look here at the article. According to the Daily Mail, the upcoming yet-to-be-titled 25th James Bond film will reveal black British actor Lashana Lynch as the new Agent 007, and Daniel Craig's character will come out of retirement for one final mission. Following years of speculation over who will replace Craig as the British spy, the revelation that Lynch will take over the agent's iconic codename is described as a popcorn-dropping moment. It definitely is. I would say that's a good way of putting it, but not really for the best reasons. Because right now, all that Hollywood wants to do, all they're concerned with at the moment is shocking people. They want to do all these crazy, whoa, SJW moves, and, and do diversity for the sake of diversity. James Bond has been a man ever since the release of the 1953 spy novel Casino Royale. So James Bond, for over 70 years now, has been a male character. You know, we all know him as this smooth and suave, you know, character that's the womanizer. And, you know, you're a damn fool if you don't think that there's going to be a few lines in there, you know, criticizing Bond for his womanizing and his ways about his character. This movie is going to be more than just Bond's final mission. It's going to be his final mission in the way that this is going to be the movie that is going to completely kill the franchise and turn people off forever. And we've seen a lot of soul-crushing franchise killers over the years. Luckily, Ghostbusters is being rescued. And you've also got Men in Black, which now is completely 6 feet under, thanks to that complete disaster that was released just about a month ago. That was a complete flop. But, you know, they're not done yet. Terminator is ready to, you know, be complete crap, and people are, you know, downvoting the video, and it's sure to be a complete disaster. Probably a historic disaster that will probably, I would probably bet it would most likely be the lowest grossing Terminator film, but they're not done yet. You know, Ghostbusters is not enough for them, Men in Black is not enough for them, Terminator is not enough for them. They've got to go on to James Bond. And people are saying, Brad, aren't you reading the article? It's not, you know, she's not going to be James Bond. No, but she's 007. And if you're smart enough to figure out how things go, you're going to already guess what this movie is going to be like. The film is set to pick up in Jamaica, where Craig's character retreated at the end of Spectre. I don't even really remember that, to tell you the truth. After he gets the call to get back into the spy game, he learns someone else has adopted his codename in his absence. You know, you could definitely expect the Lashana 007 to be completely overpowering. Look to her to probably act more like a man than Daniel Craig is going to in this film. That's going to be the whole message they're trying to show, that, you know, that the female could be 007, that it's, you know, and that's what they're doing. But I mean, it's just for the sake of doing it, just to stir up a certain emotion within people. Like, they know most people are not going to be happy with this, but they're going to go ahead and they're going to do it anyway. And if this was like a different time and this was under different pretenses, I might credit them and say, like, okay, at least they're brave enough to try something different, right? Don't we always say that Hollywood should try something different? There should be, you know, more creativity. But that's not the case. I mean, now what it is in Hollywood, if we're not rebooting something, we're changing the character completely, we're altering things about the features, we're changing the gender of the character just to be ironic, just to be controversial. I don't see a point in that. I mean, really, like, that is, like, lazy if I ever did see lazy. I mean, that takes no creativity. That doesn't really take any imagination at all. All it does is basically show that, you know, they couldn't be bothered to think of anything better. They're just going to, you know, just gender swap the character, because that's what's in. Everyone else is doing it in Hollywood. It's the, you know, jump off the bridge mentality, basically, right? But the answer for all directors and producers and anyone who's, you know, in charge of the studio is, the answer is yes. If everyone else is doing it, then by golly, we've got to do it as well. So Lynch joins the ranks of Bond women, including fellow black Brit Naomi Harris, who joined the franchise in 2012 as Eve Moneypenny. And she's a decent Moneypenny. That's okay. You know, I think that was even a little controversial at the time too. People had a problem. And you know, the problem is that when they do this, and people have a problem with it, people automatically just assume that people are just being prejudiced about it. But maybe, just maybe, it's because the character has been identified and already originally cast. You know, I'm just saying that's the reason why certain characters have a certain race, because that's just what they were originally given. You know, we have to stop with this perspective where we're so focused on this. Why can't we just focus on casting a good actor? or you know, or just someone who would play the role well, instead of, you know, who's gonna stir up the shit the most. That's what I'm getting really sick and tired of. Craig retains the titular lead, according to the franchise's executive producer Barbara Broccoli. Bond will never be a woman, but it appears that the codename 007 is off the table. So it's like, I've got a feeling like they probably thought that, like, about that at first, probably like kicking Craig to the curb, but they probably thought that was too much for most people to bear. So what they're doing is, you know, they're just going to give away the code name. But you know, when the next movie comes out, that's obviously what's going to happen. They're going to stick to their guns, and you know, this is probably going to be Daniel Craig's last movie, because I've never really seen a Bond retain the role as long as Daniel Craig has. I mean, Casino Royale came out in what was it, 05 or 06, and you know, he's been Bond ever since then. I can't even begin to tell you like how long he's been in this role. It's kind of impressive. So, you know, Killing Eve writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge has even recruited, been recruited to co-write the franchise's 25th installment. It's believed that she's the mastermind behind Lynch's game-changing role. Well, of course she is. You know, just look at her. She looks like a real barrel of laughs, when you say, guys. You know, looks like, I mean, I'm sorry, you know, don't judge a book by its cover, but you already know how this goes. For someone to come up with this idea in the current climate in Hollywood, you know, you just have to assume the worst. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's just how I feel here. It's just my opinion, and I would say that the hunch is probably accurate, sadly. But, you know, it's the 25th installment. The 25th installment is like usually a celebration, the 25th anniversary. There's been very few movies that have made it this far. So why does this have to be the time when the 007 name is given away? Like, don't you think that maybe if James Bond was going to retire, like, I just don't get this. Like, why do we have to give away the 007 name? See, that's the other thing. Forget about the changing of the gender and all that, and 007 is the mantle, this is going to take it up. Why don't they just do what they've always done? And just, if Craig is, you know, getting a little too old for the role, or Craig doesn't feel like doing it anymore, why don't they just do what they did with, I don't know, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Bronson, George Lazenby, and give the role to someone else, so someone else could play James Bond. We're long overdue for this. Now, Tom Hardy was also considered for the role. How the hell, what was it, Idris Elba, you know, if I'm saying that name right, one of the other considered actors. And somehow, and there was also like another girl that was up for the role, but like, how can we like not even be sure, like, when we're casting? So I guess, you know, she was maybe in charge of this role here, you know. How do we get to that point where we're not even sure what gender this character is going to be? I mean, you would just naturally assume that they would have picked a man, because that's just pretty much what you've seen in James Bond. The women are usually the alluring characters, they're usually the damsels in distress, and sometimes they help out Bond. You know, but there's been articles written about the womanizing ways of Bond, and here we go. So, Waller-Bridge is quoted as saying, there's been a lot of talk about whether or not Bond is relevant now because of who he is and the way he treats women. I think that's bollocks. I think he's absolutely relevant now. The franchise has just got to grow. It has just got to evolve, and the important thing is that the film treats the women properly. He doesn't have to. He needs to be true to his character. And guys, if you cannot see, you know, If you cannot see that the Lashana character, that the new 007 is going to give James Bond a strong talking to about the way how he womanizes, then you're completely insane. This, you could see this from not only a mile away, not only 2 miles away, not only 3 miles away, but you could be standing on the whole other side of the freaking planet and you'd be able to see that coming. I mean, just those lines right there, those quotes are so telling, and it's so like, man, like, why are they doing this? They must be doing it to annoy people at this point, because they know it's not going to be a positive response. Lynch, a 31-year-old from Hammersmith, is best known for playing Monica Rambeau, a fighter pilot and best friend of Brie Larson's character in Captain Marvel. And I read this before, and guys, that's all you need to know. You already know about the promotion around this film. I'm just saying, guys, that's just all you need to know. She was in Captain Marvel, and we all know about all the politics and the and the agenda that went into the promotion of that movie. Now, I heard that it was a decent movie, but I'm sorry, but it was just so annoying. I just couldn't even see it. And I'm just saying, guys, that, well, naturally people are ready to stand. What? Is this even part of the article? I'm not really too sure. But anyway, what's this? Us. We want Idris Elba. Oh, that's how it said. Elba as James Bond. Producers, no. Us. We want producers. You get Lashana Lynch. Us. Exactly. That's the right tweet to definitely send it. It's like fans are asking. Let's see. Lashana Lynch is the new 007. That's it. That's the tweet. Let's see. Halle Berry as the new Ariel. I said it again. Halle Bailey as the new Ariel. Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America. Tessa Thompson as the new Queen of Asgard. Lashana Lynch as the new 007, the Excellency. Okay, so some people are happy about it, and here we go. Here, I'm literally ready to smack all these haters out of existence. If anyone even dares come out after Lashana Lynch, he deserves only the fucking best. I mean, honestly, guys. So let's read some of these comments. This should be funny. This should be fun since we're on BuzzFeed. Let's enjoy the comments, right? For the first time, my mother wants to see a Bond film in the theater, so we will definitely be going. It'll be fun to see the changes. Let's be positive about it, guys. Let's completely ignore the fact that this has nothing to do with James Bond or what James Bond stands for or what Bond movie's about. Just, I think it's time we had a white John Shaft, you know. He may be pale and all, but he's a bad, that's a good point. See, you won't see the other way around. They only seem to be casting one way, if you noticed. And that's understandable. I get it. Okay, I see people saying that she will just be in the movie and that BuzzFeed is false reporting. If that's the case, she definitely will not be the first black woman to be in a Bond film. Trina Parks was. Get it together, BuzzFeed. We shall see. I mean, yeah, that's very true. I mean, you had, who was that singer that was in one of the Roger Moore films? The one with Christopher Walken? Her name escapes me, but she was in it. And you also had Halle Berry, now I'm saying that name right, in one of the Pierce Bronson ones. 007 License to Bleed. Well, this series is definitely going to be bleeding out, to say the least. Damn it, I wanted Idris Elba. He's got that perfect don't mess with me personality. The titular lead remains Craig, and according to the franchises, and so just quoting here, so is Lashana 007 or not? This wording is very confusing. Did you mean, but it appears that the code name 007 isn't off the table? You know, I actually didn't even notice that through the the first read through, Bond will never be a woman, but it appears that the code name 007 is off the table. Well, okay, that does kind of make sense. I kind of see why they have an issue with that quote, but that could kind of have like a double meaning in a way. But if you read through it, see, that's what I said. I hate articles like that. Because sometimes, like, that is poor writing. You should try to, like, word things where they're, like, less confusing and, you know, where people won't be able to mince your words. That's when you should probably choose your words a bit more carefully because, yeah, that's, like, a kind of a messy sentence there. But anyway, you know, let's see. Number 1, this hasn't been reported by the studio. Number 2, she is currently filming a role in the current 007 film. Number 3, hyperbole is the bread and butter of clickbait and BuzzFeed. Number 4, even if she is cast as the new 007, it won't be announced before the current film is released. You know, if you read the article, I mean, it doesn't matter if the studio didn't come out or not. All the outlets are all reporting on this. I mean, come on. It's like, it also fits. We've been hearing this for a long time. Mostly that they were going to have, like, James Bond be a black guy, which, you know, okay, like, fine. You know, if we have to, I mean, at least it's a man. But now we're going, you know, like, that's not good enough. You know, let's make it even more outrageous. But, you know, of course, people are also rushing to the defense here. For all of you who apparently failed comprehension of written text before you comment, she is not James Bond. It doesn't really matter because she pretty much will be James Bond if they release another series. Because really this is called the 007 series, actually. You could refer to the series as that, as well as Bond. So if they still continue the same storyline that they've been doing since Casino Royale, then it would pretty much make her the protagonist of this current series that they're in. Now, so here we have another girl comments, and this is getting embarrassing. How many of these forced gender swap movies have actually turned out decent? But here's an idea. Why not try making a movie that is actually good and then focus on which race or gender would fit the role? Seems like someone is pretty reasonable here, I'd say the least, right? No normal person gives a shit that races are in a movie. People watch movies to relax and have a good time. I like movies with any good actors in it. White, black, yellow, male or female. Who gives two shits as long as it fits the role? Now, if you're a woman and or black and you can't stand to watch a movie just because there's a white male lead in it, then who's the racist? But hey, what the hell? Let's just do a Batman reboot and make him an Asian transgender yoga instructor. I mean, that's a very good point. Sandra Lords right here pretty much voiced my concerns to the T. I mean, I completely agree with this. Yes, that's exactly how I feel. Yes, let's just focus on making the movie. You know, let's write the script and everything, and really, you could cast anyone in that role. But I'm sorry, but there is a way that they're gonna obviously have to write for a woman. But you know how this is gonna go. We've seen it with Men in Black. We've seen it with Ghostbusters. The male, like, we're gonna see James Bond talked down to, patronized. It's going to be a sad day for all James Bond fans. I mean, you know, the remember in GoldenEye for the N64, you know, remember the debt screen? That's exactly what that's the perfect illustration for the franchise right now. This is the death of it. With this announcement, now we know that, like, nothing is sacred. It's just like with any franchise, it's all up for grabs. I mean, we all have to make these movies with all these, you know, SJW qualities to it. That has to always be the overarching thing. Oh, look how woke we're being. Look how ironic we're being. We're fitting in with today's message. When they don't even get it, that most people don't even care about that stuff to begin with. And for the people that get irked by it, they're just not going to see the movie. So you just might as well not do it. What's the point? Why even do it if you know that it's going to upset a large amount of people? Are you really that, like I said, about the Little Mermaid thing, are you really that impassioned that the one thing that you had to do as a film director when you finished up in film school is the one thing you said to myself, by golly, you know, I got my degree in film. The one thing that I've got to do more than anything is I've got to direct a popular franchise. And then I've got to swap the race or the gender of the character. I mean, what, like, whose goal is that? I mean, honestly, it's getting to the point where really the only time that this has worked out, and many people disagree, I think with Star Wars. I think Daisy Ridley, bleh. Daisy Ridley was the perfect choice to head up the lead of a Star Wars film. She doesn't come across as overbearing. She seems like she respects the other characters, but many other people seem to have a problem with her. But like I said, but this you can see, this is going to be a character that is going to definitely ruffle a few feathers, to say the least. And I really doubt that this movie is going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's probably going to be a real slog. It's probably going to be really light on the entertainment factor, unless you find those types of jokes like talking down to men and making them look foolish, and you want to see James Bond get put in this place, then that's probably the movie for you. But I don't even think that those people who like want to see that type of stuff are even going to see the movie, because they probably wouldn't even be James Bond fans in the first place if they were that sensitive to that type of material, right? Right. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, I will see you next time.